Hello, and welcome to this presentation on Valuing SEND. Empower is supporting Somerset County Council to pilot Valuing SEND, and during this presentation we will explain what Valuing SEND is and how it works. We will talk about why we are undertaking the pilot in Somerset and which schools will be taking part. We also have a parent, Carol from Hertfordshire, who will be sharing her experiences of being involved in the pilot there. We'll provide you with some information of what will be happening next, when the pilot will be starting, and how you can be involved. We hope that you enjoy this presentation. Valuing SEND was devised by 3 local authorities: Norfolk, Oxfordshire and Hertfordshire, with support from parents and carers, educational settings and local professionals. They came together to address the 2014 reforms, thinking about what we could all do together to improve outcomes for children and young people. Valuing SEND enables us to accurately identify and measure the needs of children with special educational needs. It allows all the organisations and individuals in the SEND system to use a common language around those needs, to discuss the ability of schools and parents and others supporting them to meet those needs, and also ensure that we measure progress. Valuing SEND looks at specific areas of the child and young person's needs. There are 5 domains that we look at in detail: cognition and learning, communication and interaction, sensory and physical needs, social, emotional and mental health, and independence. In addition to that, we also look at the readiness of the educational setting to meet their needs across those 5 domains. It allows us to pull together a more nuanced conversation about need. Are needs being met well in some areas and other areas requiring additional support? What might that support be for the child and for the setting? And do we require more specialist support? We're now going to talk about how and when you might use Valuing SEND. The tool itself is devised and designed for use for any child or young person aged 0 to 25. It can be used at any time and stage, right through from very early intervention when the need might be suspected, right through to more complex needs. It can be used at any stage across the assess, plan, do, review cycle, and should be used alongside Somerset's graduated response tool. A young person does not need to have an education, health and care plan for this process and approach to be supportive. Valuing SEND hopes to present a picture of the holistic needs of children and young people, and as such it recognises the importance of understanding a family's role in supporting them. Valuing SEND is intended to be a part of an ongoing conversation between parents and carers and the setting about the identification of need and planning support, and also to plan for the long term. So what does the Valuing SEND tool look like? This presents as a radar chart, and you can see here that the child and young person line is in blue. The radar records the scores or ratings against each of the 5 domains. The process is repeated using the prompts that support the identification of need and setting readiness, which is seen here in green. Home confidence is shown here as a pink line. If parents and carers wish to engage in this process and have a further conversation, it may be helpful to explore the tools and strategies that they use in the home to manage behaviour and to support their child or young person. This is a supportive process, as schools can also learn from parents about how best to work with their children. In the event that parents might be finding things challenging, schools may be able to share strategies that they use in their environment to support and manage behaviour. Parents may be familiar with 4 of these needs domains: communication and interaction, cognition and learning, social, emotional and mental health, and sensory and physical needs. Valuing SEND includes independence as a 5th domain in recognition of age-appropriate milestones that may be observed, and as a way to identify and support atypical development. It also acts as an enabler to plan for the long-term aspirations of children and young people. We would expect this tool to be used to review progress and stimulate conversations on whether support and interventions are working. As I mentioned at the outset, we will be running a pilot of Valuing SEND in Somerset. This begins on the 6th of June, and we have identified 6 schools that will be taking part. Each school will complete one setting readiness tool, and they will also identify some children or young people within their setting to complete the tool with. They will use that tool to build a holistic picture of the needs of the young person, not just identifying where they might be experiencing challenges, but also to ensure that we record their strengths, the things that they are doing well and progress they are making, as well as the resources that are in place to meet their needs. We hope that each of our schools will engage with parents and carers in completing the tool and speak with them about the outcomes. At the end of the pilot, there will be an evaluation where we'll be seeking feedback from parents and carers who have been participating. Your feedback is key, so we do ask that if you have been involved, that you do take the time to let us know whether or not you have found it useful. For parents who are not involved in the pilot, there will still be an opportunity for you to hear about the evaluation, and we will be sure to share this detail during the summer. We hope to test a number of things. All of them we hope will improve quality of relationships and conversations around need, to make sure that there's some clarity around the support that is provided to children and young people, and identifying the impact of this support. We hope that the tool will support and guide discussions with children and young people themselves and ensure that their involvement is prioritised in conversations around their education. And on to the pilot. We will be working with 6 schools: Lympsham First School, Cheddar Primary School, Hugh Sexy Middle School, Fairlands Middle School, Kings of Wessex and Fairmead Special School. For this pilot, it is important that we have included schools that cover children across key stages 1 to 4. We are making a special focus on children and young people who might be headed into a transition period at any of those stages, which could include those who might be heading into reception, children in years 5 and 6, and those who are 14 plus, preparing for adulthood and their own what next. In addition to transitions, we have asked the pilot schools to identify and work with some of their children and young people with emerging or confirmed social, emotional and mental health needs, and also identify any other children that they feel would benefit from this approach. The pilot is for a very short period of time, which is why we have only asked a small number of schools to support us with this. We will now have a brief presentation from Carol, a parent from Hertfordshire, who wishes to share her experiences of the pilot of Valuing SEND.
Hello everyone, my name is Carol Kelsey and like you I'm a parent of children with SEND, and I've been asked to talk to you today about Valuing SEND, which I was involved with in Hertfordshire, which was one of the 3 original local authority areas that were involved in developing Valuing SEND. I'm sorry that I can't be with you today, but my diary was already full up. And so we thought it would be better if I did a little video rather than producing some more slides for you to look at. So I was part of the original working group of parents, as I said, looking at this in Hertfordshire. And it was our group that first introduced the idea of the home confidence element as being part of valuing SEND. So why did we want that? For two main reasons, really. Obviously, we knew that parents and carers know their children best. And we knew that research shows that children do better where their parents are active and valued part of their education. And that's especially true of our children with SEND, where both families and schools need support and extra information about how to support the children through their education system. So both schools and families also have useful information for each other around techniques and approaches that can work well for our children. And so the children benefit a lot from an improved relationship between schools and settings, between schools and families rather. And so that's why we felt that home readiness option was needed. It is an option, so families don't have to take part in the home readiness bit, but we think it's useful for families to do that because schools can help point them in the right direction for other services and help them perhaps with referrals that they need to support their children in their wider life. So also in the working group, we believe strongly that better conversations need to take place between schools and families around their children's needs, whatever level those needs might be at, so that whether that's SEND support or whether that's with an education for children with an education, health and care plan. So valuing SEND provides, we felt, a more consistent way of having that conversation, both within a school, so from year to year, from teacher to teacher, but also within a local area. So that gives a framework for those conversations to take place between schools and families. The conversations that you have in Valuing SEND focus really clearly on the children's needs and how those needs might be met. And in a way that helps a better conversation than perhaps we receive as families lots of written reports, which are often difficult to understand, have quite a bit of jargon in, and very often don't include anything around our children's independence or are preparing for adulthood, as we talk about, which is so important for our children's future lives. The other thing that we particularly liked about Valuing SEND was the simplicity of using the diagram that you've already seen in the slides, rather than always having to be referring to lots of reports or know those reports really well. And Valuing SEND isn't there to replace those reports in any way, but really as a tool to help having those better conversations around the information that you've got about your child. So, in conclusion, what I'd like to say is if you get the opportunity to get involved on a personal level in Valuing SEND using that tool with your child, I'd strongly suggest that you give it a go. And also, if you're a parent who gets asked to take part in further focus groups or to respond to information or surveys that are sent out about Valuing SEND, please do. Professionals, wherever they're working in SEND, whether they're working in education, health or social care, really need parents to help them design and improve the way they work and services. Without us, they can't get the same level of improvement as they can just from working on their own. That can be the same for your individual child and also for your local services across Somerset. Thank you for listening to me today, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the session. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Carol. So to finalise, the pilot begins on the 6th of June. Information on the pilot will be communicated via schools news, the SEND newsletter, and it will be featured on the local offer website for the duration of the pilot. We will also make sure we upload a document or a page that clarifies all your frequently asked questions. Please don't worry, if you have any additional questions following this presentation, if you complete the contact form, we will ensure that the frequently asked questions document is updated on a weekly basis, so we will respond to all questions there. Finally, at the end of this pilot, we will be sure to share an evaluation of the work that has been completed. All that's left to say is, thank you for listening.